Hello, fifth graders. Thank you so much for joining me for my first ever virtual band recruitment video. Make sure to hit like and subscribe. Just kidding, I don't have either of those buttons. My name is Mrs. Frazee. You may have heard me called Miss Frizzle or Miss Frazel or Miss Frazzle or Wilson if your older siblings had me as a teacher. But I am so excited for you to join our instrumental music program next year as sixth graders. This video is going to cover some basic information if you are interested in joining band. Before we get started, I did want to share a little bit of information about myself so you can get to know me a little bit. This is my 4th year as the band director at Horace Mann, and I think being a music teacher is the coolest job ever. I have been married to my husband, Jake, who does work at State Farm, so he's kind of famous, for 2 years now, and we have 2 dogs, Bear, who's a Shepherd Husky mix, and Aria, who's a Pitbull Rottweiler mix. When I'm not rehearsing or teaching or playing my own instrument or hanging out with my band friends, I enjoy playing my Nintendo Switch. Right now, the 2 games I play the most, probably Animal Crossing and The Witcher 3. And I also enjoy going on adventures with my husband and our puppers. That's a little info about me, and I really wish I could hear about each and every one of you because I am so excited to get to know you next year. Let's go ahead and get started with a little introduction to each of the band instruments. The first group of instruments I want to talk to you about are our woodwind family. In 6th grade, the woodwind section includes flute, clarinet, and alto saxophone, but as you get older, this section can include oboe, bass clarinet, tenor sax, bari sax, and bassoon, just to name a few there. So the woodwind section's pretty big eventually, but we're going to start with these 3 in 6th grade. We'll take a look at the flute first. Even though it is made of metal, it still belongs in the woodwind family. It is one of the highest pitched instruments in band and sounds a little like this. Okay, so usually plays on the higher side of things. You play it by blowing air across this tone hole in the head joint and then moving your fingers to make different notes. Okay, so that's the flute. The next instrument we'll take a look at is clarinet, aka Squidward's instrument. It is played by using this little piece of wood here called a reed. Okay, so if I just blow into the clarinet without the reed, I don't get any sound. But as soon as I add this reed onto the mouthpiece, we get this. Okay, so that reed is what helps it make sound. Clarinet is one of the most versatile instruments in band. It's got a huge range, so it can play some pretty low notes, some pretty high notes. It plays melody, it plays harmony, okay? So a very flexible instrument. It may look a little complex and like there are a lot of keys, but I promise you'll catch on in no time there. So this is what the lower range of clarinet sounds like. And more of a middle range here. And some of the higher range. Give me a second. There we go, a little bit of the high range there. So clarinet is a very flexible instrument. If you like instruments that can play many different parts, then clarinet might be the one for you. Last but certainly not least for the woodwind section is the alto saxophone. I will say that this is the only instrument that 6th graders cannot rent from the school district in 6th grade. So flute and clarinet, you can absolutely rent your first year in band. Alto saxophone, you have to have your own if that's the instrument you really want to play. But it's a great instrument, super cool. It's going to use a reed, just like clarinet did there. And it's going to have keys similar to clarinet. But unlike clarinet, number 1, it's bigger, obviously, and number 2, the body is made out of metal, so it's going to sound louder as well. Okay, it's a little louder there. Alto saxophone, very cool instrument. You hear it a lot in jazz bands, some stage bands, pop bands, things like that. This is also the instrument that my husband played in high school and college. So, a little fun fact there. So that's the alto saxophone. It does require a neck strap because it is a little big to help you play it, but it's a great instrument for those of you who are interested. So flute, clarinet, alto saxophone, that's our woodwind family. Next up is our brass family. These instruments are all made of metal and are played by buzzing into a mouthpiece. So this is one of the smaller mouthpieces. And that's what it sounds like when you buzz just into the mouthpiece. And then when you attach it to the full instrument, you get something a little different there. So that's kind of the basic mechanism of how all of these are played here. We've got the trumpet, the trombone, the baritone, and the tuba. Those are our 4 brass instruments in 6th grade. So you already heard a little bit of trumpet. It is the smallest of the brass instruments that we offer. It's played by buzzing into that mouthpiece and using different combinations of these 3 valves pressed down. So when you do your buzz and move your fingers, you can get different notes. So that's trumpet. You hear it a lot in marches. It'll make that hoarse call sound that you hear sometimes in movies or cartoons. So plays a lot of melody, a lot of higher notes there. Next up, we will take a look at the trombone. It's got a slightly bigger mouthpiece. So I'll hold them together. Okay. So a little bit bigger mouthpiece there. Same idea with the buzzing, but when we add it to trombone, we get a slightly lower sound. Okay. The trombone, you change notes by moving this slide. Okay, so if I do my buzz and change where the slide is at, I can get my different notes that way. Okay, so that's the trombone there. It's the only instrument in band that changes notes with the slide, so that makes the trombone pretty cool, pretty unique there. Next up, we'll talk about baritone, euphonium. It goes by both names. And that's this instrument here. This was actually my secondary instrument in college. I played this in the K-State marching band. Go Wildcats. But this was my secondary instrument, and it's got the same size mouthpiece as a trombone, but instead of the slide, it's more like the trumpet where we have those 3 different valves that we press down. Okay, and it's got a nice warm sound there. So that's the baritone. It is a little bigger, but it's a great instrument, beautiful sound, and gets to play a lot of those boom paws that you hear. Okay, so that's our baritone slash euphonium there. And last, but certainly not least in the brass family, is the tuba. And it's big. And I love tuba so much. It's one of my favorite instruments. This is going to be the lowest instrument, really, that we have in band. It's got the biggest mouthpiece. And it's the only instrument that gets to kind of puff its cheeks a little bit when it plays because it just takes so much air. But it's a very cool instrument. Okay, so it usually plays the bass line. Very, very cool instrument, very low, deep, dark instrument that takes a lot of air to play. So if you've got big lungs and you like that solid foundational sound, tuba might be the one for you. So again, that was very brief, but that's just a quick intro to our brass family in band. Again, that was the trumpet, trombone, baritone, and tuba. The final member of the band family is the percussion section. This is the largest section in the band just because it contains so many different kinds of instruments. So in 6th grade, percussionists learn how to play the snare drum and the bells. And these are kind of the two fundamental instruments that you learn, and then you can take these techniques and use them to learn all the other instruments in the percussion section. Marimba, vibraphone, chimes, triangle, bass drum, cymbals, timpani, you name it. Usually these two instruments is where it all starts. Percussion is the instrument I played in elementary school, and middle school, and high school, and college, and still today. So I think it's a cool section for sure. The first instrument you learn in 6th grade is the snare drum. It's kind of a cool drum here. It's got a little lever on the side here that you can't see from there, but I just turned it off, and the drum will sound like this when I strike it with sticks. And then I turn that lever on, and it's going to take these little pieces of wire and put them right up against the bottom drum head to make it sound like this. It's a little brighter, a little crisper there. You can get a lot of different sounds from the snare drum. Snares off, snares on, the rim. Okay, lots of different sounds and techniques you can learn on the snare drum there. As you get older, you can also learn how to play marching snare drum. This is a concert snare, but you can learn marching snare drum, which is a part of the drum line. The next instrument you learn in 6th grade for percussion is bells. This is using mallets, so skinny drumsticks with little plastic balls on the end there, and you strike these metal bars, and they make a nice ringing sound. They're laid out just like a piano, so if you've ever played piano and you know how to read that music, bells and xylophone, mallet instruments are going to be fairly easy for you because they're set up the exact same way. But they sound a little something like this. Okay, and those are played with our mallets. So 6th grade percussionists, you learn bells and snare drum, and then in 7th and 8th grade in high school, you start learning more and more instruments to add kind of to your skill set as you grow. So that is the percussion section. The cool part about band is when all of the instruments come together. There are many different band ensembles to take part in as you get older, but we start with concert band in 6th grade. Concert band sounds a little something like this. In high school, you can also take part in jazz band. Jazz bands are usually made up of saxophones, trumpets, trombones, and the rhythm section. Students who play flute, clarinet, baritone, or tuba typically learn a second instrument to participate in jazz band. Jazz band specializes in jazz, blues, and other genres of popular music. The third band you can take part of in school is marching band. This outdoor moving ensemble contains all the instruments we've talked about so far and special marching instruments like the sousaphone and drumline. It also includes student conductors called drum majors and the flag team or color guard. This band typically performs during halftime at high school and college football games. Its large size, volume, and visual effects make this band exciting to watch and perform in. So, what is being in band like? To answer that question, let's listen to what current band students have to say.
The best part of being a band is the achievements you make and how good it feels to succeed at something new.
You can just be with yourself and have moments that are just like completely musical, and it just feels so great, and you can just reconnect with your body and your mind.
One things I like about band is like all city and all the things you can do in band and just all the creativeness you can do with all the instruments combined. That you can make a lot of fun music. Yeah, you just make a lot of genres.
One thing I loved about band from last year is inside jokes we had with Miss Frazee and all the people I played with. We made a lot of jokes and had a lot of fun.
And what I like about band is being able to play others and being able to play an instrument and learning how it works and learning new songs and notes. And that's what I like about it.
My favorite thing about music is that you can be creative with your instrument and you can have just lots of fun just playing random notes with it.
I love band. It's a really good hobby for any kids who are not wanting to do band. It's all depending on the teacher and how you look at the class. It's really fun. For me personally, I love band. It's one of the best hobbies I've ever done.
My favorite part about band is just it's a fun class, and it's nice knowing how to play instruments. Fun little skill. Sometimes it's a hobby. You can play some pretty cool songs, and just all the friends I made while doing it.
My favorite part of being in band is being able to play with a bunch of people and being able to learn something new. I really like that.
My favorite thing and part of band is hanging out with my friends, doing new things, and laughing. Yeah.
Some favorite parts about being in band are, making a lot of friends, and having more like people to like, be like, oh yeah, like I feel you, about like, oh I'm struggling with this part of the clarinet or this other part, and I could just be like, oh yeah, I know what you mean, and like help them out.
My favorite part of band is all the inside jokes that we have, and like because most of us have the same humor, and anytime that something funny happens in band, it's funny to talk outside because everyone else is so confused.
I just love, I don't know, I just feel like it's really cool, like playing an instrument, and it's like really fun, and it's just a nice like skill to have on the side.
My favorite part of being in band is that I can be the best trumpet out there and be feeling myself every day and be there playing the music. Yeah, that's it. Okay, bye now.
Favorite thing about band is just all the friends there, all the love and support that goes into there. It's just all fun. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
Thank you so much for watching through this video. I know it's not as fun as getting to try the instruments out yourself, but hopefully you were able to get an idea of how each instrument is played, what they sound like together, what instrument you might be interested in learning for next year, and why some of our current middle schoolers chose band when they were in your shoes. I hope you consider joining the band family as 6th graders, and I am so excited to see you next year. Thanks.